evening and welcome to Channel 1 News featuring Justin Hunter, Tom Smith, and Corey Alexander. Our field reporter is Martinique Octave. She will be with us later. Today we will be talking about the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring is the idea of democracy rising up in Western and Northern Africa.
Pretty interesting topic, man. I think it could do a lot for people like that.
I believe it could as well. Now, the Arab Spring brings about a lot of conflict, a lot of tension, and a lot of turmoil within these areas. Our first topic today will be talked about by Justin Hunter.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Just the topic that I'll be talking about today is I found an article, Democracy and Conflict and Coexistence in West Africa, in the workshop. A broad overview of just the definition. The work that is necessary to ensure the groups live together peacefully and productively, just so we have no problems and no conflict at all.
Very important.
Very. Just a few values that I thought were pretty interesting to me. Diversity, human dignity, interdependence, equality, and just decreasing of the weapons around, just so we have no violence, no gunplay. You know, young kids out there having guns can do a lot of harm.
I feel that is very important. You know, with guns and nuclear weapons and rockets, within areas of turmoil, this can be used against civilians, not just military officials. It could hurt many, many people.
Just around the whole world, just targeting this war. We have another world war, you know, anything happen.
I agree.
Death is a bad thing, man.
It's terrible.
Another thing, coexistence is not particular to one region of the world. Just the other place experiences violence too. So it's just not one region, one country, or anything like that. It can be East Africa, South Africa, North Africa. So it's just everywhere in Africa. Period. Another thing, it isn't responsive to violence, but it can be a proactive thing. This is by addressing the strains of positive intergroup relations before violence occurs.
That is very important. I feel like people have to come together from different parts of the country, different parts of the nation, whether they look alike or have the same religion or not, just to coexist.
I think so. Just to have peace all over the world, just the world nowadays.
It's fantastic.
That's how I feel like everybody should feel like just peace, man. Everybody should just want to, you know, live a safe life.
Don't worry about the kids.
Yeah.
Agreed.
In West Africa, there's a positive and negative coexistence meaning. Positive, one.
It's known as permissive.
Oh yes, you're right. You know.
Yeah, yes.
And negative, submissive coexistence.
Submissive coexistence. So we have permissive and non-permissive. It's an interesting dichotomy, but I hope that it works in that area. Thank you for that topic, Justin.
Thank you.
In other news, Tom Smith has a topic about the decolonization in Africa.
Yeah, that was a good topic there, Justin.
Thanks, Tom.
And I hope you touch a lot of people out there.
Most of the women, but you know.
With that article.
Always touching the women.
I would like to come today and share with y'all guys about my article. It's called The Challenge of Decolonization in Africa. And this article, it talked about in the year 1960 was heralded throughout Africa and the West as the year of Africa for the inspiring change that swept the continent. During that time, South Africa shook the world to awaken to the horrors of white minorities. A political fact that was said in the article was the growth of national consequences was currently in Africa.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So in the 60s, what I'm understanding is that the world changed in Africa. The colonies had begun to change from being a colonial state for most countries to becoming independent nations. Now, this led to nations being led by, you know, corrupt leaders, Islamic regimes, dictators especially. And the Arab Spring is all about taking those dictators who are Islamic in most Islamic countries and turning them into democracies, becoming a country to where people have rights, people have the ability to vote, people have freedom, which they didn't have before.
Just like how it was in the United States a couple years ago, you know, with blacks, whites, you know.
Segregation.
Exactly.
Especially. Yes, I completely agree.
One thing I would like to say else about this article was that a man named Harold Macmillan He cautioned Western nations to change their behavior towards Africa to prevent the continent from falling under the sway of the East. And like a lot of people, you know, they couldn't like handle doing something like that, and that brought world peace and in the East and the West. And so I think that was kind of interesting too. And it caught my eye. It was an eye opener.
Wow. Very, very valid. In our last topic, before we go off to Martinique, I found an article about the democratic transition in Anglophone Western Africa. Now, my topic is mainly about the change from it being a Muslim-led country to democracy in which people have rights. People have the ability to vote. People are finally free to voice their opinion. Now, the conflicts are still there. The protests are still there, especially like the protest not too long ago in Tunisia, getting the leader out of there when the young man set himself on fire.
They just wanted to be heard, basically.
People's voices to be heard. Well, that is all we have for now. We'll go out to our field reporter, Martinique. Thank you very much.
Catch you later.
Signing off, this is Corey Alexander, Tom Smith, and Justin Hunt.